Well, good morning, everyone. This is Jamie Silver with Herf Jones Yearbooks. I hope this finds you well today. Hope your week is off to a great start. For today's episode, I'm going to cover 3 topics that I hope you find helpful. The first, this time of year, is just a to-do list, just to make sure we're all on the same path and make sure we're not missing something this time of year. The second is a refresher on placing photos and some of the little buttons at the bottom that help cropping photos. It's a common question I've been getting over the last week, and I just want to share that with everybody. And the third is a quick and simple way to swap photos on a page that you may have nearly complete or complete, just to give it a different look without having to redo the page, and you'll find the photos, drag them in. There's a simple command to help with that. So let's jump right in. The first one is a recent blog post. Again, welcome to the new year. As we all get ready for the new year, there's just a couple things I want to share with you to make sure we're all thinking about yearbook related. So the first one, make sure we finalize winter sports, clubs, events, and academics. You want to plan a last chance sales campaign if you haven't already. And if you have questions about that, especially what we can do to help you with that with our order center and online sales, please do let me know. Emails are also going out to parents if you've signed up for that. So again, kind of a last chance planning for as the school year winds down. You want to review the ladder and complete any signatures where you might have a single page. So as you probably know, a signature is pages 1 through 16, 17 through 32, and so on throughout your book. Those are the chunks of your yearbook that we print in segments. So if you look at those segments in your book and, say you have one page, say page 8, that is not submitted, but everything else is 1 through 16, if you can get that last page in, it just helps us in production and expedite that, just in case we need to make time up later for you. If something goes wrong, we'll be in a better position to do so. So it helps all of us. If you just have a few here and there, if you can finish, we greatly appreciate it. It just helps us later on. You want to start thinking about how you recruit next year's staff. Who's going to be working on staff? Who's maybe returning or getting some fresh students or teachers that may be involved. So think about that. Also, you want to plan spring coverage and give staffers assignments. So as things start to come up here, we want to make sure we have all those planned and assignments for photography and stories and whatnot. You want to continue to update and check your index. Again, any question on that and the automation to do so, please let me know. It's also a great way to spot last-minute typos if you work on the index as you go before you submit pages. That way, if it finds something with a last name or a first name, for example, you can catch it and also fix it on the page. If you haven't made your deposits, you want to make sure you've done that already. If you're doing online sales, that's probably been taken care of for a long time for you, just as sales have happened and paid those. But check that out just to make sure. Have you done ads in your book, maybe where an advertiser hasn't paid you yet? You want to just make sure you keep on that, re-invoice if necessary. Last thing is to look at spring workshops, conventions, CSPA, JEA, and others. Local events here in the Midwest like NISPA are coming up, so get those on your calendar. I'd love to see you at some of those. Shortly, I'll also be sharing information on summer workshops, working on a couple options locally, but also in other states if you want to consider a destination for your book camp. It's a great way to travel and see different perspectives and learn from others somewhere else in the U.S. It's a fun event, so if you get a chance to go to a destination workshop, I highly encourage it too. Okay, now we're going to jump into a quick little video on placing and cropping images. Again, just a refresher.
In this tutorial, we'll look at some additional features related to placing and cropping photos. First, let's review a couple of things that we previously learned. To place an image in an existing frame, you drag and drop the image on the frame from the library panel. To resize the image and the frame at the same time, click and drag on one of the handles with the selection tool. The image is always scaled proportionally. To resize the image inside the frame, you click on the Picture Manipulation button or simply double-click on the image to access the control handles for the image itself. You can then use these circular handles to resize the image inside the frame, and you can click and drag on the interior of the image to reposition it in the frame. Click again on the image to exit Picture Manipulation mode. With that review out of the way, let's look at a few additional items. Take this image as an example. I've placed this image in an existing frame on my layout. I would like to include the top of the building in the frame, as well as a little area beneath the feet of the people on the steps. This is not possible with the image frame's current size and shape. In cases like this, you'll want to use eDesign's cropping function. The cropping function allows you to adjust the size and shape of the frame after the image is placed inside it. Select the image with the selection tool. Then go to the control panel and click the button below the picture manipulation button. This is the cropping button. When you enter cropping mode, you'll see the square handles around the frame as well as the larger circle handles around the image itself. The parts of the image that are outside the frame are tinted back so that you can see the parts of the image that are outside the frame. In cropping mode, you can use the smaller square handles to resize or reshape the frame itself. You can also use the larger round handles to resize the image if necessary. To exit the cropping mode, you can simply click on the image. Let's try that again. I'll place an image in this frame. Then click the cropping button. I can now adjust the frame or the image. To exit the cropping mode, I click again on the image. If you like shortcuts, there's a shortcut to enter the cropping mode. Hold down the Control key on Windows or the Command key on Mac and double-click on the image. This will take you into cropping mode. Most of the time, you'll be using the normal picture manipulation mode, but the cropping function is perfect in those cases when you need to adjust the size or shape of the frame after placing the image. What do you do if you want to change the image that's placed in a frame? You can simply drag and drop a new image onto the frame. The new image will replace the old one. What if you just want to remove an image from a frame? Double-click on the image to enter picture manipulation mode. In picture manipulation mode, you have selected the image inside the frame, and you can go to the Edit menu and choose Delete. This will delete the image out of the frame. I'll choose Edit Undo to replace the image. What if you want to rotate an image inside the frame? Take this photo for example. I want this to be a tightly cropped shot of her face, but I would like to have her eyes aligned more horizontally in the frame. I will double-click to enter picture manipulation mode. I'll make the image a bit larger in the frame. Then when I place my cursor outside of a corner image handle, I get the rotate icon. I can now click and drag to rotate the image inside the frame. When rotating an image inside the frame, you'll want to be sure that you keep the frame filled all the way around. Let's cover one other item regarding placing images. You can place an image into any closed shape in eDesign. If you drag out an image and drop it on an empty area of the page where there is no frame, eDesign will ask you if you would like to place the image as a background. We'll look at the background function in more detail in a later tutorial, but in this case we don't want it to be a background, so we'll click No. eDesign will then create a new frame for the image and place it on the page. If you do accidentally place the image as a background, you can remove it by going to the Layout menu and choosing Delete Background Image. And that's the basics of placing and cropping images in eDesign.
Again, I know that's a reminder. You've been doing that all school year, but it is one of those things that sometimes gets overlooked, especially that crop mode button at the bottom. It's really tiny, so I just thought it'd be helpful to review that. Again, it's a common question I get, so that can really help you manipulate photos that are already on a page, as Mark showed there. So this last one, short video on swapping images rather than dragging them on top like you saw him do. This is a quick way to swap photos and try different photos in different places on your existing layout.
One of the best time savers is the Swap Image command. When you become familiar with this great feature, you'll use it all the time. On this spread, I have a group of photos, but I'm not sure which image will work best in which frame. Rather than having to manually place and replace images in different frames to test them out, I'll use the Swap Images command. Before you can use the Swap Images command, you have to select more than one image or image frame on the page. I'll hold down the Shift key and click on this image frame and this one with the selection tool so that both frames are selected. I'll then go to the Object menu and choose Swap Images. The images swap frames. When you swap an image, you may need to go into picture manipulation mode by double-clicking on the image and adjust its position in the frame. Let's try it again. Hold down the Shift key and click to select multiple frames. This time I'll actually select 3 frames. Now when I choose Object Swap Images, all 3 images rotate position. If I choose the command again, they rotate again. This command is such a useful feature that you'll want to remember the keyboard shortcut, which is Shift-S. Press Shift-S and the images rotate position. The Swap Images command also works when empty frames are involved. So, for instance, I can select this frame with an image and this empty frame and press Shift-S, and the image will move from the current frame to the empty frame. The Swap Images feature is a huge time saver that you should use all the time as you design your yearbook pages.
Well, I hope you found those pointers helpful. If there's any other topics you'd like to see more on, please feel free to send me an email with some requests, as some of you have, and I'll be happy to cover those in future episodes. So have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.